Hello and welcome. Today's video will be exploring the different types of armor in Granblue verses. As a quick refresher, armor refers to the attack property that allows you to be momentarily uninterruptible from certain attacks. As a universal rule, any form of armor will automatically lose to grabs. Also, grabs and the term unblockable attacks are not synonymous. Remember this. In Granblue verses, a very broad way to look at these mechanics is to entertain the idea that there are two types of armor: super armor and armor. This is how these mechanics are referred to in-game. In a perfect world, these mechanics would function in an intuitive and consistent manner, but alas, our world is far from perfect. The definitions of these properties can vary depending on character. In a very basic way of explaining the difference between armor and super armor is absolute. Any attack excluding grabs that makes contact with a super armored attack will be unable to interrupt the player using the super armored attack. This is any attack: SBA, SSBA, unblockable attacks. As long as the attack is not a grab, nothing will get past super armor in Granblue verses. Now to the topic of armor. Armor is a lesser version of super armor. It's the same idea as super armor, but with terms and conditions. In order to remain uninterrupted during your armor frames, certain checks are set into place to determine whether your armor withstands an incoming attack or not. Not every attack labeled with the term armor functions the same. In truth, these attacks can vary in highly differing ways. A few attacks are even mislabeled in-game. Without convoluting too much, just know that the categorization of these properties in-game is wildly inconsistent. I did my best to round them all up into a neat and concise compilation, but even with all my effort, these properties still leave me scratching my head. Regardless, I'll display a graphic that accurately categorizes each armored and super armored attack in its rightful location. As this graphic is displayed, I'll explain how some of these attacks function and how they differ from other attacks with the same properties. Let's begin. As stated before, any attack with this property is absolute. Nothing except a grab attack will be able to interrupt these attacks during their super armor frames. This includes unblockable attacks, guard crushes, SBAs, and SSBAs. That being said, you can't even really trust the game to display the properties properly. There are some attacks that are labeled to have super armor, but only, in fact, have armor, none of which are a part of this category. Starting off, we have Siegfried's Ultimate Verdrungen, Ladiva's Ultimate Headbutt of Love, Vasaraga's Ultimate Battalions of Fear, Narmaya's Ultimate Mugen Kagura, Anrei's Ultimate Fleeting Spark, Zeta's Ultimate Rhapsody, and Seox's Ultimate Thunder Flash. As you can see, this category has a wide variety of attacks ranging from parries, reversals, and even unblockable attacks. The only notable attack we need to discuss is Vasaraga's Ultimate Battalions of Fear. Normally, Vasaraga's specials and normals will only gain armor properties if he's powered up with his Soulforge ability. This attack is a special exception. Vas does not need to be powered up to be able to gain super armor on this attack. Normally, parries will lose to unblockable attacks, so it's important to be aware of the parries in this category as they will withstand even unblockable attacks. Anyways, on to the next category. Armor of this category functions similarly to super armor, although way less consistent. As stated before, the armor's ability to withstand an attack is determined by a set of checks. For this category, these armored attacks will withstand SBAs and SSBAs. However, they will be torn apart by any unblockable attack, at least for the most part. As you can see, The PNGs of some of these attacks have exclamation points next to them. This is to indicate that these attacks defy the checks set into place for this type of armor. I will discuss them in further detail once we get to them. Starting off, we have the medium, heavy, and ultimate versions of Nir's Misfortune, Zeta's Heavy Rhapsody, Henri's Light, Medium, and Heavy Fleeting Spark, Siegfried's L'Ombredière, Belial's Give Daddy Some Shug, Henri's Arm of the Bastion, Lewayne's Heavy Come At Me Bro, and Seox's Light, Medium, and Heavy versions of Thunder Flash. That was a lot of words. First on our oddity list is Nir's Medium, Heavy, and Ultimate Misfortune. These attacks are all mislabeled in-game, noted as having super armor. This is just not true. It loses to unblockables, therefore, it's not super armor. Next up is Siegfried's L'Ombredière. This attack loses to SBAs and SSBAs, unlike the other attacks here. That's all for this category, on to the next. This is armor that only withstands attacks coming from certain directions. When these conditions are met, most of these attacks will withstand SBAs and SSBAs, although with varying effectiveness. First we have Catalina's Ultimate Enchanted Lands, Zoe's Dash Heavy, Zeta's Light and Medium Rhapsody, Narmaya's Medium and Heavy Mugen Kagura, Lewayne's Light and Medium Come At Me Bro, and Duel's third Dance Stance. Let's discuss the oddities. Catalina's Ultimate Enchanted Lands will not be able to withstand an SBA or SSBA. Neither will Zoe's Dash Heavy. On to the next category. This next category is something I'll refer to as Poise. This is in reference to a property present in most From Software games. Like in those games, this type of armor will allow you to withstand incoming attacks. Unlike armor, super armor, and directional armor, this property will drain your health upon being struck during the active frames of your armor. During the armor's active frames, you will receive a minor damage reduction buff that overlaps said active armor frames. If your health is depleted to 0 while using these skills, you lose the round. In this category, we have Sora's Growler, Vasaraga's Ultimate Savage Rampage, Catalina's Light Wall, Charlotta's Conic Shield, and Sora's Ultimate Impact Knuckles. The only notable attack in this category is Vasaraga's Ultimate Savage Rampage. This move defies Vasaraga's preordained armor properties, allowing him access to consistent and unlimited armor when using this move, regardless of having Soulforge or not. On to the next category. This type of armor breaks nearly every mold established in-game and does whatever it wants. Each of the moves listed here have armor frames that function in completely different ways, and as such, do not fit into any category at all. Let's begin. Vayne's breakthrough skill functions like Poise, draining Vayne's health when he's struck, while allowing him to withstand as many attacks as he pleases as long as the button is held down. Vayne can even tank through any SBA or SSBA while his armor is active. Even if his health is depleted to 0, Vayne will keep sponging any damage dealt to him and remain alive while doing so. However, Vayne will be susceptible to unblockable attacks during this attack. Next up, we have Lewayne's Human Pyramid attack. During the entire duration of this move, Lewayne and his bros gain armor that functions similar to super armor. However, Lewayne will take reduced damage whenever he and his bros are struck. Lewayne can withstand SBAs, SSBAs, and even unblockable attacks during this move. Unlike Vayne, Lewayne will lose if his health reaches 0 during his pyramid scheme. Finally, we have all of Vasaraga's attacks that gain armor from his Soulforge ability. Completely unique, this armor functions similarly to Potemkin's Hammerfall special from Guilty Gear Strive. Unlike Potemkin, Vasaraga's armor lasts for 2 hits instead of 1, allowing him a plethora of useful ways to bulldoze his way through neutral. While incredibly useful, Vasaraga's Soulforge will not be able to withstand any unblockable attack. However, SBAs and SSBAs will not be able to interrupt Vasaraga unless they hit more than 2 times. The 2 ultimate skills of Vasaraga's that I've mentioned before do not follow these rules at all, so be wary of that. Well, that's all I've got for this video. Hope this explanation was helpful in some capacity. Until next time.